Paramount is pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
The wine for tonight, where do you want it?
I just put it in the kitchen, thanks. About 5 minutes more on the chops. Everybody want red wine?
Darling, would you put a little ice in mine, please?
Sure. Everybody want ice?
Ice? In red wine? It's supposed to be room temperature.
Did you see what he just did? Oh, very bad. No, don't do that. Very bad, very bad.
Here you go, sweetheart.
Oh, thank you.
No, you can't!
Oh, it's bad. That's very bad.
No one puts ice in red wine.
All right. Good friends, good food, good wine.
Please, never chill a red wine!
Sure we can.
This is my favorite way.
It's the Celebrity Guide to Wine with your guests, Dudley Moore, Kelly LeBrock, Steven Seagal, Whoopi Goldberg, Herbie Hancock, Shelley Hack, Peter Weller, and Robert Loggia. With your host, one of the top wine authorities in the United States, winner of Switzerland's most difficult wine contest at age 21, and today, maitre d' of Spago Restaurant in Los Angeles, Bernard Erpicum.
Ah, California Zinfandel. Red, ripe, full of berry flavor, delicious with some grilled lamb chops, sprinkled with some rosemary. But really, on a hot day, just enjoy your wine any way you want. So put some ice in it if you want. As long as you enjoy it, that's what counts.
Bernard, along with his celebrity friends, will get you to stop worrying about those hard and fast rules about wine and stop you from being afraid of making the wrong selection from a wine list.
Wine, yes. Yeah,
Afraid of not knowing how to properly open a bottle. Afraid of drinking the wrong wine with the wrong foods. Afraid of offending someone more knowledgeable about wine than you are. In addition, you're going to get some suggestions as to which kind of wine enhances which kinds of food.
Goes really well with fish in red wine sauce. Note the red.
Learn how to taste wine. Get some tips on making wine more casual.
Go with the flow.
And find out about wine glasses.
it's my signature tune.
You're also going to find out a little about the different kinds of grapes, from Chardonnay to Pinot Noir. But most important, for the first time, you're going to learn about specific wines from different wineries and different regions. We call this Bernard's Picks, and Bernard will give a selection of recommended wines in each price range for a variety of tastes. Now, not every wine will be on every restaurant's wine list or in every store, but armed with this information, you should start to become comfortable recognizing a few familiar names. Eventually, of course, you might want to add other brands and other choices to your own list. But in the meantime, the Celebrity Guide to Wine will eliminate your fears. After all, wine is simply a good-tasting beverage, meant to enjoy.
I love wine. I love the taste of wine and the way it goes with food. I love to teach the waiters at the restaurant about wine. And the one thing I tell them, and the one thing I'm telling you is, do not be afraid of wine. Just enjoy it. To me, a meal without wine is like a day without sunshine. And a simple glass of wine enhances a simple meal at home or a fancy dinner at the restaurant. And wine has been enjoyed for a long, long time.
Most of today's wines originated with the Romans. As they moved north from southern Italy, they brought their favorite grapes with them, eventually planting them in France. Today, French wines are named for the regions in which they are produced. Knowing the village the wine is from means you will know exactly what kind of grapes were used in that wine. Bordeaux and white Bordeaux from Bordeaux. Burgundy and white Burgundy from Burgundy. Champagne from the Champagne region. In America, grapes are grown pretty much in every state, but it is in California that winemaking has reached its best. Excellent wines come from such regions as Napa, Sonoma, Mendocino, Central Coast, and Temecula. The French name their wines after their regions, but those regions do not exist in California. So California wines use the varietal names of the grapes. In the reds, Bordeaux is made mostly from Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot grapes. Burgundy is made from Pinot Noir. And Beaujolais is usually made from the Gamay grapes. There is also a very underrated red wine, very good, called Zinfandel, which is unique to California. And in white wines, white Bordeaux becomes Sauvignon Blanc or Fumé Blanc. White Burgundy is Chardonnay. And Champagne becomes California sparkling wine. There is also a good California wine made from Chenin Blanc grapes. In France, it is usually called Vouvray.
I'm never going to remember all of this.
It sounds like a lot to know, but don't worry. Later on, I will give you some specific wine to start you off so that this doesn't happen to you.
And easy with the cream on the Frida Mayor.
Yes. And your wine?
Wine? Yes, wine. Why not? Why not? A bottle of white wine.
White, sir. What kind of white wine, sir? We have all kinds of white. Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, Chenin Blanc, Johannesberg Riesling, Semillon, Pinot Blanc, Emerald Riesling, Gewürztraminer, Flora Grey Riesling, and Sylvaner, plus French white Bordeaux, French white Burgundy, Vouvray, German Rhine wine, and Champagne. So, which white wine are you having, sir?
Well, I'll have the
Yes.
The
what, sir?
Darling, just pick one.
yes, right. I'll have the
I can't understand you, sir.
the bottle of the
I can't hear you.
Chateau.
I still don't know which one you mean.
Well, one of those.
Number 178.
Right.
Why didn't you just say so?
Didn't I just say so? I said 178. Or did I say 139?
That waiter probably doesn't know much more about wine than you do. All he knows is how to find it by number in some back room. The truth is, you don't have to know very much to order a good bottle of wine. You certainly don't have to know about 11 different varietals. By the way, varietal simply means a particular type of grape. And just like there are different types of apples, there are different types of grapes with very specific characteristics. And that's what we mean when we talk about varietals. Knowing them will certainly help you in the future to choose the wine that you like. But how do you deal with a wine list that sometimes has as many listings as a small city telephone book? It really is very easy. 3 different types of grapes and 3 different types of white wines. And that's all you need to know to get started. Chenin Blanc. Usually very fruity, soft, light, very simple wine, made either dry or semi-sweet. A good Sauvignon Blanc. Very crisp, very sharp, herbaceous, and sometimes made as a sweet dessert wine. Chardonnay, my favorite and ultimate white grape that produce the greatest white wines in the world, has magnificent flavor, has tremendous amount of characters, and produce the great white wines of Burgundies and Champagne. Let's start with Chenin Blanc.
Chenin Blanc.
In France, this grape is grown extensively in the Loire Valley. It is best known as Vouvray, but Chenin Blanc is equally at home in California. Chenin Blanc is a very soft, simple white wine that you can enjoy anytime, anywhere, around lunchtime in the summer or by the pool in the afternoon. And it has the aroma of a peach. It is often very light in color, and it can be dry or semi-sweet. Dry only means an absence of sugar. Semi-sweet means there is still residual sugar in the wine. Chenin Blanc would be most enjoyable if you went to a Chinese restaurant and ordered some sweet and sour dishes. It is a daytime wine and would be perfect for a barbecue or a picnic in the afternoon.
Now, I don't know much about this wine thing, but I do know what I like. And Chenin Blanc on a picnic, well, like my friends say, go with the flow.
In Bernard's Picks, there are 3 price ranges of wine. Inexpensive, $10 and under. Affordable, between $10 and $20. And more expensive, which is $20 and up.
Chenin Blanc is the simplest version of what white wine can be. Most bottles are in the inexpensive category, around $10 and under. Certainly, you could buy a Charles Krug. Lovely wine, soft with a touch of apricots. Sebastiani, very fruity, light, and slightly sweet. Louis Martini, medium, light, and refreshing. And Stag's Leap is my favorite. Semi-sweet, crisp and lively. Vouvray, the well-known Chenin Blanc from France, semi-sweet, light, fresh with peach flavors.
This is not to say that there aren't other equally as good wines available in your town, but these are wines that are marketed throughout the country, even worldwide, and so they should be available most everywhere. Remember, it's simply a place to start, a way to feel comfortable when ordering a bottle of wine. Sauvignon Blanc.
I truly love Sauvignon Blanc for its freshness, crispness, and sharpness. Usually in California, the wine is very light and dry, and more austere and heavier in the Bordeaux region of France. And the wine has a very herbaceous smell that will remind you of freshly cut grass. Its color ranges from pale straw to deep gold, and it goes very well with white meat such as chicken, veal, but my favorite combination is a goat cheese salad sprinkled with some rosemary and olive oil, and it goes extremely well with some shellfish, cold lobster, or cold crab.
Come on, little crabs. Hey, let's go and look at the back of the car. What are we going to look for? Well, we're going to look for wine because we love crab. We enjoy it. We eat it often. We don't respect it. We just toss it away because
We are talking about wine. You know what goes good with crab? Sauvignon Blanc. It's earthy, it's crisp, it's spicy. That's why it tastes good, you know? That's what you do. Now, you may look at this and think, damn, Whoopi, why is all that in your trunk? I'm having a party, Nosy.
You need to drink Sauvignon Blanc at its very early stage, and the freshness of its fruit comes out best when it's very young. In the inexpensive category $10 and under, you can find a good Sauvignon Blanc. Wente brothers brought their vines from France 50 years ago, and now use those vines to produce a superb dry wine. Simi, a good example of Sauvignon Blanc from Sonoma, soft, light, and crisp. Gallo is a good buy. The wine is simple, fresh, and crisp. Callaway from Temecula produce an herbaceous, forward, and clean Fumé Blanc. Mondavi Fumé Blanc produce a forward, lean, crisp, and simple Sauvignon Blanc. In the affordable range between $10 and $20, Lys is one of my favorite. Stronger in character, more austere, herbaceous, very well balanced and complex. But my favorite Sauvignon Blanc comes from wine made in the Loire Valley. In the inexpensive category, Sancerre is my all-time favorite. The wine is extremely dry, fresh, clean, crisp, and herbaceous. It goes perfectly with some fresh oysters. In the affordable category $10 to $20, Puy Fumé La Doucette produced a more refined version of Sauvignon Blanc, usually a little bit more delicate and more refined, and a little bit fresher. In the more expensive category, Baron de l'Aile is the Rolls-Royce of Sauvignon Blanc. The wine is very light, very fresh, very clean, extremely refined, and very delicate Sauvignon Blanc. You will also find Mouton Cadet from the Bordeaux region in the inexpensive category. From the vineyard of the famous Baron Rothschild, it is a very enjoyable, inexpensive, everyday type of wine. Sauvignon Blanc also produces the best dessert wine in the world, and the best of the best is called Chateau d'Yquem. Very sweet, it is also very expensive.
All excellent selections of Sauvignon Blanc. Chardonnay.
The Chardonnay grape produces all the famous French white Burgundies and is one of the two grapes that goes into the making of champagne. Chardonnay is always dry, rich, and full, and reminds me of apple flavors. In that case, the wine is light, dry, and fruity, or it can be more elaborate, richer, and more buttery, and reminds me of hazelnuts, almonds, or vanilla beans flavors. Chardonnay goes very well with food in rich sauces, like a chicken with a mustard sauce, like a veal chop with mushroom sauce, or seafood or fish with a white wine sauce.
Chardonnay, to me, is the Rolls-Royce of white wines. Rich, deep, powerful. It's wonderful with veal, pork, chicken, and it's especially good with fish or any white meat in a rich cream sauce. My favorite is cervelle. That's calf's brains in a rich, creamy sauce. Guys, I was just kidding about the calf's brains, okay? Gentlemen, it was a joke. Ha!
I prefer to drink California Chardonnays very young, within the first 3 to 4 years, and I really appreciate their fullness and fruitiness most. However, French white Burgundies do improve quite a bit with age. You can drink a good white Burgundy from 8 to 10 years from the time of production. In the inexpensive range, you have Sebastiani Chardonnay. The wine is dry, clean, fresh, with apple characters. They also make a reserve which is slightly more money. Then the Wente Brothers Chardonnay. An excellent value, buttery and very well balanced. Fetzer Chardonnay with apple flavor, a crisp nose and a fruity character is very pleasant. In the affordable range, Charles Shaw is a classical example of California Chardonnay. Lighter in style, very fruity, lean and crisp, it is a favorite of many people. Beaulieu Vineyards produced a dry, fruity and very well balanced Chardonnay. Simi from Sonoma Valley produced a rich, clean and delightful wine. The Beringer Chardonnay, another typical example of California Chardonnay, made in a lighter style with a lot of fruit flavors. Now Beringer also make a reserve, richer, deeper and more oak flavor. It's also more expensive. Back in the affordable range, we have a Sterling Chardonnay. Sterling, a landmark in Napa Valley, produce a rich Chardonnay with lovely oak and soft fruit. Joseph Phelps produced a Chardonnay, oily, rich, round and intense. Trefetton produced a crisp, delicate and very elegant Chardonnay. Edna Valley is actually one of my favorite Chardonnay. The wine is rich, fat, buttery, with a lot of almonds, hazelnuts, and vanilla character. Acacia Winery produced a lovely wine, rich in oak, great varietal character, and ripe fruit. And Kailin has always been my ultimate favorite Chardonnay of California. It is made in a very French style, and it's more expensive and sometimes hard to find. And Chardonnay in France is white Burgundy. The village of Pouilly-Fuissé produces a delicate white wine that pleases everyone. And it is in the affordable range. And now, I'm going to tell you a little secret. There is a wine by the name of Pouilly-Fuissé. It's a good wine, but I find it expensive. Right next door, there is a village by the name of Saint-Véran that has the same grape, same soil, same climate, just a little fence between the two of them, and the wine is just half the price and tastes as good, if not better. In the more expensive category, you will have 3 great white Burgundies that I like. Meursault, Chassagne-Montrachet, and Pouligny-Montrachet. They are rich, full of vanilla, hazelnuts, and oak characters.
All excellent selections of Chardonnay, a rich, mouth-filling white wine with the taste of oak and often with the crispness of apples and spice. 3 white varietals and their French counterparts. Chenin Blanc and French Vouvray. Medium-bodied, soft, fruity, an uncomplicated wine. Sauvignon Blanc and White Bordeaux. Full-bodied and with the smell of fresh grass and the taste of olives. Chardonnay and White Burgundy. Full-bodied, complex, and with a taste of oak and hint of nuts and vanilla. And this time, when the waiter pressures you to make a selection.
And I'll have a bottle of the Sterling Chardonnay.
Ah, you mean the number 200?
You may know it as number 200, but I know it as a full-bodied, mouth-filling wine of great proportions. It has the aroma of apples and figs, a hint of oak in the nose, and a rich, buttery taste on the tongue. In fact, this particular Chardonnay has so much body that it can be served with the heaviest of cream sauces and still not be overwhelmed. In fact, Chardonnay and White Bordeaux.
3 different types of white wine. Try them all to see which one you like. But how is this made from this? After all, when you squeeze grapes, all you get is grape juice.
Wine comes from grapes. The grapes are picked, then crushed. Today, there are elaborate crushers which also destem the grapes and take out twigs and leaves. The idea is to squeeze out the juice without crushing the seeds and stems. The grape juice, called must, is transferred to a fermenting container and cultured yeast is added. When the yeast comes into contact with the grape juice, it begins converting the grape's natural sugar into alcohol. If all the sugar is converted into alcohol, the wine becomes dry. Most wines are made dry, but if some residual sugar is left, the wine remains sweet or semi-sweet. As a byproduct during fermentation, carbon dioxide gas is given off and causes seething and bubbling of the juice. For still wine, this carbon dioxide escapes into the air. But when making champagne, a second fermentation traps the carbon dioxide inside the bottle. That's what makes the bubbles. Grapes have now been turned into wine. They are put into wooden barrels for further aging, placed into bottles, and eventually served at your table. Each individual winery controls and shapes this process. It is all a matter of personal taste. That is why wines with the same varietal name taste different from winemaker to winemaker.
Be overwhelmed. Chardonnay and White Bordeaux from France, in fact, are probably arguably the best white wines. A whiff of the bouquet, a hint of the nose, and one knows one is in the presence of no ordinary wine. You all right there?
I'm sorry I'm late. The traffic was just horrible. You angry with me? Same as usual?
It's right there. This better be good.
With me, it's always good.
done well.
I hope that was as good for you as it was for me.
I have a feeling it may have even been better.
Well, if you need your bottles opened, you know who to call.
Maybe I'll whistle.
You do know how to whistle, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Opening a bottle of wine is as easy as whistling. First, with a sharp knife or the knife on a waiter's corkscrew, cut off the metal or plastic cover on the cork. There's no need to remove the entire cover, only the top. Then, insert the corkscrew in the center of the cork and turn. The cork should just slide out. Wipe the top of the bottle to remove pieces of cork. Pour a small amount of wine for yourself. This is to taste it and to make sure none of your guests get any small pieces of floating cork. Then, pour glasses of wine for your guests. After all your guests have been served, return to your own glass and fill it. At a restaurant, a knowledgeable waiter or waitress will do all of this.
White wine is appreciated for its freshness and tastes best when served chilled at about 50 degrees. I said chilled, but not too cold. If you serve it too cold, it freezes the flavor. Keep it in your fridge for about 2 hours before serving it. Here's a little secret. If you get a chance, open up your bottle of white wine 10 minutes before serving it. And this will allow some oxygen to enter in contact with the wine and give a chance for that wine to release its good flavors. Clean up the top, pour a little wine, and let's look at the color. The wine is brilliant, the color is gold. Now, swirl it around, and this will bring all of those wonderful flavors to concentrate here at the top of the glass.
Do you ever wonder why wine glasses come in so many shapes and sizes? I do, all the time. Well, more rules, you say? I wrote that. No, that's actually not why they come in different shapes and sizes. There is a very good reason why, though. A good wine glass is always very clear, made of very thin glass, and it's shaped rather like a bowl, so that you can swirl, if you can swirl, I can't swirl very well, the contents, the wine, and release its bouquet. And the aroma gets trapped here, on the inward leaning edges of the glass, not outward like that. That wouldn't be too good. These colored glasses also have a purpose, but using them to drink wine is not one of them. Firstly, you can't see the color of the wine, and secondly, if you swirled the contents, you'd have wine all over you, which is, you know, another sort of experience, which is not much to do with drinking. Champagne glasses are always long and thin, not because it's more romantic, but because these glasses prevent the carbon dioxide from escaping, the carbon dioxide which produces bubbles. Longer, thinner glasses allow more time to elapse before the wine turns flat. A lot of people serve champagne, of course, in these sort of glasses, which look very nice, but actually allow the carbon dioxide to escape. And so you're very soon left with a very listless, flat wine. So as you can see, it's very important to have the right type of glass for your wine. It's my signature tune.
In America, people drink more white wine than they drink red wine. And it's just too bad because red wine is so good. 5 different red varietals: Cabernet Sauvignon, and Merlot, Pinot Noir, Gamay Beaujolais, and Zinfandel.
Not again.
Cabernet Sauvignon.
The Cabernet Sauvignon grape from Bordeaux produces some of the greatest red wines in the world. It is also the premier red wine of California. The Cabernet Sauvignon grape produces a rich and full wine. and it reminds me of chocolate, of charcoal, and blackberries. Normally the wine by itself would be too austere and needs to be softened by the addition of some Merlot grape. Cabernet needs to be aged to properly appreciate its flavor. Its balance usually comes around after 3 to 4 years. The tendency today is to make wine in a much lighter style than in the past. Before, the wine was aged 6 to 8 years before being drunk. But now, the bankers are telling the winemakers when to release their wine. Therefore, the wine hits the market at a much earlier stage and needs to be made in a much lighter style.
Cabernet Sauvignon goes with any red meat, such as lamb, beef, even veal and pork. It's especially good with a red wine sauce. And it's terrific with a marinated steak.
You might think that fish would only be served with some white wine, but at the restaurant, we do serve a salmon steak in a Cabernet Sauvignon sauce. And therefore, I do recommend our customers a Cabernet Sauvignon made in a lighter style, and it goes with it very well. Most Cabernet are in the affordable category, between $10 and $20. Charles Krug is a good value. The wine is soft, herbal, and well-balanced. Sebastiani produces a wine of good fruit and oak. Louis Martini makes a soft, elegant, clean, and complex wine. Claude Dubois from Sonoma produced a deep and soft Cabernet Sauvignon. Sterling produces a complex, rich, and well-balanced wine. In the more expensive category, $20 and over, Robert Mondavi produced a well-balanced, rich, and deep Cabernet Sauvignon. Chateau Saint-Jean produces a wine of much bigger style, full of berry flavor and oak. Jordan produced one of the best wines of Sonoma Valley. The wine is soft and subtle. Beaulieu Vineyards produced an excellent wine rich in berry flavors. And if you want a real treat, the top of the line to me, by far the very best Cabernet Sauvignon produced year after year in America, is Joseph Phelps Insignia. Very rich, very forward, and a balance that would blow you away. It's even more expensive. The finest red wines in the world come from Cabernet grape from Bordeaux. These fine wines produced by Mouton Rothschild, Lafite Rothschild, Chateau Margaux, Chateau Latour, or Chateau Aubryon are called first growths. The Mouton Rothschild is excellent and very expensive. But not all wine need to be first growths. Any wine from the villages of Saint-Émilion, Margaux, or Saint-Julien would be very fine to drink, and they should be in the affordable category. But for a little more sophistication, you might step up to better growths with Chateau Lynch-Bages, Calon-Ségur, Giscourt, or Pavillon Rouge of Chateau Margaux, and those would be in the expensive category.
Cabernet Sauvignon, considered by many to be the finest wine in the world. Merlot.
Merlot. I really like a good Merlot. Merlot is the cousin to Cabernet Sauvignon, and is being blended to Cabernet Sauvignon to soften it. It makes a wine on its own, usually more delicate and a little bit more feminine. And a young Merlot always reminds me of a dish of fresh raspberries. Wonderful.
Since Merlot is lighter than Cabernet, it goes better with white meats and less strong-flavored red meats. To me, Merlot is probably the finest, smoothest red wine produced today. It has the flavor of a fresh dish of raspberries and soft, damp mountain air. Wouldn't you agree? Fast asleep. I don't care.
Merlot produced a soft, almost feminine wine, and a good one can be found in the affordable category between $10 and $20. Louis Martini produces a soft wine with peppery character, a very good value. With grapes from Sonoma, Clos du Bois produced a very delicate and well-balanced wine. Stonegate produces an excellent Merlot, deep and rich. Rutherford Hill produces a more severe and bigger wine by adding some Cabernet Sauvignon to it. The Chateau Petrus is only made by Merlot grapes, and by many is considered as the very best wine in the world. It is definitely a very special occasion wine, a few $100 a bottle.
Merlot, a grape once grown to blend to Cabernet Sauvignon, which it most closely resembles. Pinot Noir.
In France, they call it Burgundy. In California, Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir is my favorite grape. Reminds me very much of fresh black cherries with a hint of raspberry and hint of blackberries. It is a very capricious grape to grow here in California, and very little winemaker can do it right. It might be expensive, but when it's well done, it's just beautiful.
Pinot Noir. It goes really well with plenty of different foods. Let me show you. It goes really well with fish in red wine sauce. Note the red. Lamb, duck, roast pig, mutton, or in my neighborhood, sheep, and wild bear. Did you write this? You fight. Get out of here. White women, you can't control them.
I am a Pinot Noir freak. To me, nothing is better than a very fine bottle of Pinot Noir in a great year. In the inexpensive category, under $10, the Black Beauty by Sebastiani is an excellent value. The wine is rich and ripe. Louis Martini produces a soft, rich, and healthy wine. In the affordable category, $10 to $20, Trefuton is made in a lighter style, healthy, and complex. Clos du Bois is very pleasant, opulent, and full of berry flavor. Robert Mondavi has just lately started to produce one of the better Pinot Noir in California. The wine is rich and mouth-filling. Acacia consistently produces one of the classiest Pinot Noir from California, one of my favorite. The wine is full, rich, with a lot of black cherry flavors. An example of the great wines from Burgundy is from the village of Gevrey-Chambertin. In the affordable range, this wine is from the north part of Burgundy and is usually bigger, more robust and fuller, with very strong flavors of black cherries and raspberries. Also in the affordable range, wines from the village of Pommard and Corton show the same characteristics, but in a much lighter style and much more subtle.
Pinot Noir, similar to the French grapes of Burgundy, but more difficult to produce in this country. Beaujolais.
Beaujolais is the perfect example of a light, fresh, everyday wine. Serve it slightly chilled, and you will enjoy its freshness and fruitiness. Drink it young. It does not age.
Beaujolais in the afternoon goes great with hamburger and grilled chicken. Take it on a picnic. Ladies. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot one thing. Don't age this wine. It's meant to be drunk very young. Oh, one more thing. Bernard has some great picks for you.
In the inexpensive range, under $10, Charles Shaw from California is producing a very pleasing, fruity, and lively wine. Georges Duboeuf is the outstanding producer of French Beaujolais. His famous flower label bottle has inspired a new colorful era of wine labels, and his single domain designated Beaujolais wines are the best that money can buy. You cannot go wrong with this Beaujolais Village, an inexpensive wine. If you want a better Beaujolais Georges Duboeuf from the village of Brouilly, it is an affordable category and it is quite good.
California Gamay Beaujolais and French Beaujolais, a simple, fruity, easy-to-drink wine that is rarely expensive. Zinfandel.
Zinfandel is a grape unique to America, although it probably found its origin in Italy. Zinfandel is a red grape that produces big, robust wine. You can drink it young, but it gains by being aged up to 10 years. It is a good everyday wine, and it's reasonably priced.
Zinfandel. You can drink it young for one taste, or you can store it until it gets older for a more mature taste. Either way, it goes with a lot of different foods. My favorite is pizza. You see, guys, I was just kidding about the calves' brains. I eat normal foods, really. This is very good. This is really very good.
In the inexpensive range, under $10, there are a few Zinfandel that you will find interesting. One of them is the Sebastiani, pleasant, intense, and attractive. Söderholm produces a very big wine, very intense, concentrated, and very peppery. Louis Martini produces a crisp, soft, and spicy Zinfandel. Ridge is actually my favorite. The wine is very spicy, bigger, well-balanced, and full of berry flavor.
Zinfandel, a wine unique to America with no French equivalent. Young, it is fresh-tasting, fruity. 5 red wines, 2 from Bordeaux, rich, full-bodied Cabernet Sauvignon, and soft, delicate Merlot. From Burgundy, opulent Pinot Noir. From Beaujolais, young, fruity Gamay Beaujolais. And a wine unique to America, Zinfandel.
There is a blush wine called White Zinfandel coming from red Zinfandel grapes. The winemaker starts with some red grapes and removes the skin before the wine starts to pick up too much red color. It is a wine to keep in the back of your fridge just in case of emergency.
How did Kelly do this? That must be it. Come on.
Wait, Shelly, that's champagne.
Oh.
Yes.
Champagne.
Champagne, a wine of celebration, elegance, and dream. It is the only wine that can be served through an entire meal, starting from aperitif all the way through desserts. And it usually is light, fresh, enhanced by some very, very fine bubbles, and usually made from two different grapes, Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. Sometimes champagne is made from only Chardonnay grapes and is then called Blanc de Blanc. Only wines from the Champagne region of France can rightly bear the name Champagne. Wine produced in any other area but Champagne is then called sparkling wine. Sparkling wine shows its best when extremely dry. Such a bottle would be marked Brut. Bottles marked dry or extra dry are actually not as dry as those marked Brut. Each house of champagne has a specific style, and you will have to find the one that you like. In the affordable range, there are several excellent sparkling wines. Sebastiani is crisp, lean, and sharp, and you could serve it to a large group of people at your house. Piper Sonoma is actually one of my favorite, and we serve it as a house wine at the restaurant. This is the reserve, which would be a little bit more expensive than the regular, but both are round, full, and fresh. The Cuvée Mums from Napa Valley is a very lively wine. The wine is more acidic, a little bit more green, and toasty. And Schramsberg has been considered by many as the best sparkling wine in California. It is more expensive, and it is toasty, rich, deep, clean. It is a lovely sparkling wine. Among French champagne in the more expensive category, over $20, Veuve Clicquot is actually my favorite. This wine is fresh, toasty, and rich. The Piper Hatzik is very clean, round, and subtle. The Perrier Jouet is crisp, fresh, snappy, very lovely, and well-balanced. Then there are three top-of-the-line wines, very expensive, and they are favorites of mine. The Tétinger Blanc de Blanc is maybe the best Blanc de Blanc champagne in the world. The wine is very dry, very clean, very fresh, with a lot of apple flavors due to the Chardonnay grapes. Cristal is been considered by many as the top champagne in the world. The wine is rounder, very fresh, and extremely well balanced. La Grande Dame is an outstanding champagne. This wine has a little bit more body into it. A lot of toastiness, a lot of freshness and crispness, and quite a bit of fruit.
Champagne or sparkling wine, fresh, fruity, and bubbly.
A great way to finish a beautiful dinner is by having a nice glass of port. And port is a rich dessert wine. Late bottled vintage port is produced in a very good year. It is rich and round and more affordable than vintage port. Tawny port remains longer in wooden cask, losing some colors and alcohol. And vintage port is a wine of an exceptional year, kept in cask for 2 or 3 years, then matured in a bottle, sometimes as long as 25 years. You'll have to try a different brand to find the one that you like. Now, on this tape you have been given a lot of information. No one expects you to remember all of it. And we won't even give you a quiz at the end.
What do you mean, no quiz?
What do you mean? Don't you want to know how much we learned?
Let's see if I got this right. Chardonnay is a crisp white wine with a taste of apple. Cabernet Sauvignon is the most powerful of the red wine.
But if we did give a quiz, anybody who fails has to stay after class and join me for private lessons.
I failed. Keep me up to class, please.
Hello, I'm Peter Weller. You might know me, amongst other things, as a big metal cop. But one thing you don't want to have happen is to have that guy, or any other policeman for that matter, pull you over for driving while intoxicated, even on wine. So please, be responsible. For the safety of others as well as your own, don't drink and drive. Okay, Bernard?
Okay, Peter, thanks. The good thing about a video is that you can replay it as often as you need. You look again at any section, write down various flavors, but just remember before you push that rewind button, the right wine is the one that you like. There are no rules for wine.
None.
Not a one.
So relax.
And enjoy it.
Any little way you want. Cheers.
Thank you all. Cheers, and cheers to you at home too. May you all enjoy wine as much as we do.